That would be. Oop, we're live. David is ready. Yeah, five. It's a stroke of 6 o'clock, so we'll kick off tonight's select board meeting for August 10th. Oh, sorry, this is not August 10th. This is August 4th. Whatever day. 21st. Looking at the wrong page here. Lately, will you read the quote for the evening?
I would love to. A year from now, you may wish you had started today. Karen Lamb.
Excellent, thank you. And is there anybody this evening with something for the Citizens Forum for a non-agenda item? Step to the podium. With no one running forward, we'll move on to the administrator's report.
A couple things beyond the agenda. Our gate project next door is complete and the reconfiguration of the buildings and whatnot. We are going to do a little bit more, well, fair amount more maintenance to the first red building, storage. Some of the boards at the bottom rotten, whatever else, but the relocations are done and the gate is in and functioning and everybody seems happy. Winter sand is up. Barn's full. I guess we're ready for winter. Bring it on. We've been doing some mulching around town with the brush and removal. Stan Silly Road, Heather Hill, and Brodus Road are complete. They hope to start tomorrow down on Duck Trap Road and side trip to Whitney Road. We're also hopefully between now and the end of the month going to start on our removal of dead trees that we've identified alongside the public right of ways so that we can get them down when the weather is cooperative instead of in the middle of winter. The 365 email system is up and running. Good. With only minor glitches, and of course it happened to be mine, but you know, whatever. So we're making progress on our long-standing list of things to do. And I guess we're going to talk about the resilience program later, so I won't bother to talk about that now.
Cool. Any questions for David? Seeing none, we'll move on to meetings and announcements.
All meetings are here at the town office unless announced otherwise. The Lakes and Ponds Committee is scheduled to meet Tuesday, August 25th, 7 p.m. Planning Board scheduled to meet Wednesday, August 26th, 6 p.m. Comprehensive Plan Review Committee, Wednesday, September 2nd, 6 p.m. The town office will be closed on Monday, September 7th in observance of Labor Day. Planning Board is scheduled to meet again on Wednesday, September 9th, 6 p.m. Conservation Commission, Thursday, September 10th, 4 p.m. Recreation Commission, Monday, September 14th, 6 p.m. And the Select Board meets next in regular session on Monday, September 14th, 6 p.m.
Excellent. And are there any upcoming community events? Seeing none, we'll move on to, we have one set of minutes from the August 10th meeting.
I move that the board approve the August 10th, 2026 meeting minutes as presented.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Thank you. Up next, we have a liquor license renewal for Camp the Forest. Somebody here from Camp the Forest?
No, don't see anyone.
Did we table that?
What's our
Where it's just where it's a renewal, it's not a new one.
Well, usually we have people attend. Their current one runs through September 22nd, so we have ample time if we wish to table it. They did indicate a couple weeks ago that this was their, well, a month ago, because they couldn't come to the last meeting, so they wanted to be on this agenda. So
I'd prefer to have them present myself.
Yeah. If there are any questions or anything.
Yeah.
If only to ask how it's going.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
Okay. So we will table that item. Moving on, we have qualified catering permit applications. Trillium Caterers Badge. There's somebody here from them. I believe somebody was gonna be here.
So he told me.
And their events are in advance of our
Yeah.
next meeting.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say that I know for a fact that these guys are
Oh,
highly professional.
I know that.
Um, and
Punctual.
I didn't say that.
I don't personally have an issue with moving forward. With theirs, they've done these multiple years for multiple dates and have always done a great job.
Yeah, rehearsal and everything.
Right,
Yeah.
right. I don't see anything wrong with their application. So, if others agree, I would look for a motion.
I move that the board approve the catering permit special event liquor licenses requested by Trillium Caterers at the Edge for September 11th from noon to 10 p.m. and September 12th from noon to 10 p.m. and that the town administrator be authorized to indicate as such on the Bureau of Alcohol and Lottery Operations portal.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Excellent. And next up, we have the Friends of Camden Hill State Park that would like to address us. Step to the podium.
Thank you. Thanks for giving us the opportunity. My name is Paul Carroll. I am on the board along with Eric Brooks from Lincolnville, and we have Sunshine Hood, the manager of the park, with us as well. Eric is from Lincolnville. I'm from Camden, but I have Lincolnville bona fides. I have a daughter who lives in town, and before we moved to Maine a few years back, I lived in Hingham, Massachusetts, which is, as you may know, the birthplace and resting place of Revolutionary War hero Benjamin Lincoln, namesake of your fair town. Counts for something.
All right, you can stay.
Probably put that in photo.
You're right. You're right.
But so I think Eric and I will try to tag team this a little bit. We did not really rehearse how to do that, so just bumble. We have a few slides to share. And to start off just by saying that people have been enjoying what is today Camden Hill State Park for many, many thousands of years, actually, going back to the Wabanaki. This is a nice shot from the late 1800s, and some people apparently really enjoying their stay on the top of Maiden Cliff. And it's always been a magnet for people to enjoy the amazing attributes of this land. Some of the history you probably know. In 1897, a gentleman named Columbus Buswell constructed this hotel at the top of Mount Patty, with access along Mountain Road. His enterprise was not commercially successful, and after a few years, he sold the property to some summer residents of the area who created something called the Mount Patty Association, and basically had it as a private club. That lasted for a few years until times changed and the building went into disuse, the building went into disrepair, and ultimately burned down in 1920. And then in the next decade, in the 1930s, the federal government started buying tracts of land in Lincolnville and Camden. And they purchased something like 4,300 plus acres. And then in 1935, the CCC, the Civilian Conservation Corps, arrived. And in June of that year, they first members of the CCC came into what had been the Sagamore Farm and along Route 1 and built this camp. And over the next 6 years, hundreds of CCC boys, as they were called, young men, lived here and built the park as we know it today. They were given Spartan accommodations. It was almost militarily run. They got 3 meals a day. They worked really hard, building things. They had educational opportunities, and they were paid the princely sum of $30 a month. And they got to keep $5 of that, and $25 was sent to their families to help them through the depths of the Depression. And that's how we got the bones of the park that we enjoy today. Any of you have any idea how many people come to Camden Hill State Park on an annual basis? Yes. When Sunshine shared this with me, I was astounded. This is just the number of people recorded as coming through the main gate. And of course, many hundreds of others come through other parts of the park. So it is a magnet for people to come to Lincolnville, to Camden, to the Mid-Coast, and contributes a great deal to the local economy. And one of the things that we talked about is trying to do a more precise economic development, economic impact analysis, so that we can sort of quantify more precisely how it does contribute to the local economy. But you should jump in, Eric. Just keep going.
Great job. But yeah, as Paul says, that number just captures who's coming in the main entrance in Camden. We do have a traffic counter over at Stevens Corner, which doesn't catch the overflow. But to Paul's point, it'd be great to get a little more data. And not just for the sake of having data, but there is a big economic benefit, as well as just benefit to the health of the local people who use the park.
So, why do all these people come? They come here for lots of reasons. They come to hike, they come to climb. There's the annual climbing festival in the park that provided this image. They come to trail run. September 12th, I think this year is a Olympic Trail Festival. They mountain bike in there, hopefully the designated mountain biking trails. They cross country ski, snowshoe. They just come to relax and hang out, to camp, obviously, to bird watch, to ride horses, to ride snowmobiles. And people come from far out places. They drive many hours to get here to enjoy the park. They fly in from far out cities. And the park benefits and has benefited from the shared stewardship of the state and the host communities in Lincolnville, Camden. And as you probably know, the park that makes an annual financial contribution to the two towns based on a percentage of the fees that it collects. And so now we're hoping that our new organization, the Friends of Camden Hill State Park, can sort of add to that mix of stewardship. The park is home to rare flora and fauna. That's
That's it. Was
Eric captured on I think our one last summer, was it?
it was actually well worth it.
Yeah. And 4 kinds of owls and all kinds of interesting wildlife, interesting unique geology, some really interesting history of the park that people like Terry Hardy have documented and enjoy talking about. So What,
I think I'll just, back up for a moment, to say, you know. Going back slightly, but all this that Paul's talking about, you know, all the resources of the park, these are things that we have multiple organizations, that Paul's about to, get a slide of, that have been contributing to, and the Friends Group is really not aiming to, help all those groups and provide a little more structure to, not only further the aims of those groups, but other initiatives that the park, you know, park staff would like to see, but doesn't have resources to do, with staff to do.
If you're both talking, just get it up to the,
yes,
thank you.
So some of the other things that we have at our park too is old growth forest. We have a couple of red oaks and hemlock and a few other ones that are on the record books. And that's, you know, the old growth forest and some of them. And then we also are geology. At the top of Mount Batty is quartzite, which is only found here at the top of Mount Batty, nowhere else in the world. So we're working on an interpretive panel, working with geologists and that. So we definitely have, say, some very unique features.
so to Eric's point, one of the things we did at the very outset of thinking about organizing was to try to bring together all of the organizations that we knew of that were in some way, shape, or form involved with its resources. And I think we can say that all of these groups were involved from the get-go, as we sort of convened a small organizing group to talk about this idea. And really one of the things we talked about was, all right, all these players exist, do we really need another group, another not-for-profit? And we concluded obviously that it did make sense. We did a lot of due diligence in terms of talking to individuals involved in similar organizations like the Friends of Exeter State Park, the Friends of Leeds State Park, Friends of Acadia. We talked with experts in not-for-profit management. We talked with leadership in the Bureau of Parks and Lands, and you know, I would say whenever I personally spoke with people about this concept, I got one or two reactions. One was, that's a fabulous idea. People were very enthusiastic. We should have a Friends of the Park group. And the second most common reaction was, what do you mean? We don't have that already? We should. So we had a lot of positive, enthusiastic response. And we saw an opportunity to, as Eric was saying, to play a coordinating role where people were already in place doing good things, and to help try to do some new things where the park just lacks the funding and staffing to do all the things that it would like to do. So we did form ourselves as a not-for-profit. We created this mission statement, directed bylaws, on the board, created a website, and incorporated as a nonprofit in the state of Maine. Since then, we've been trying to think about next steps. We envision ourselves as a purely volunteer run and driven organization. And we're actively seeking people, individuals to join in an array of projects. This is just sort of a representative list of things that in conversation with Sunshine and others, we've identified as opportunities where there are some really important things that could be done to help steward the park and improve the experience for visitors to the park. There are, you know, all kinds of things on this list and other and beyond this list that, you know, can draw on
Means that, you know, we have a slide for that. You know, we've got volunteer aspect and certain fundraising. Projects that would be infrastructure. Improvements.
So lots to do, lots of sort of short, medium, long-term plans. And just to say that there's already a lot of volunteer activity going on in the plus fall. A bunch of volunteers help erect and build these two Adirondack shelters at the top of Wall Rock Mountain. The materials were brought up by the Forestry Service, we had a helicopter. We had Matt Savario and others, volunteers from Coastal Mountain Search and Rescue involved in that, a bunch of other people. Sunshine has her famous lily garden that is in need of volunteer attention, so I don't know the full details. But there was an individual who donated literally hundreds of lily specimens to the park a few years back that are in need of some love. The Lincolnville Hills project that
We have
the two board members, right? Has been working for a few years now on restoring the Blueberry Barrens and some of the western facing views on Cameron Mountain, Poverty Knoll, Mallory Hill. And that's an ongoing project that we're eager to try to assist with in any way that we can. This gentleman, you may or may not know, his name is Hans Heisted. He was essentially the architect, the landscape architect who designed the park in the CCC days when it was being transformed into a park. And he was the visionary who created a lot of what the remaining infrastructure is today, including things like this picnic shelter on the Sagamore side that is an example of what Eric was just mentioned. It's now 90 years old. This is built in the 30s and it is in need of some help. So that's another example of a project that we've been discussing. There's the star that's erected on the tower at the top of Mount Patty every year. There was some work done on the summit of Mount Patty last year to improve ADA access, which is a wonderful thing. What that did is create some areas that are sort of right now barren spots filled with wood chips that we'd love to get some native plantings in. So that's another example of a project we'd like to undertake. There is ongoing trail work that Eric leads, and maybe that's the place for you to jump in. And
Sure.
talk about it.
And that's my seasonal job, 3 seasons of the year. They're working on trails and I've been recruiting volunteers to help them. Occasionally we get a trail crew, whether it's NCC doing their rock work training, we can put on the next slide. Or we've had the Main Appalachian Trail Club crew for a week each year, which is kind of furthering their training, helping us out at the same time. But otherwise, it's some days on the trail crew, and some days I have volunteers with me, and the friends can help bring in more people by spreading the word. And that's the same thing for Lincolnville Hills project in the Blueberry Fields. It's another organization to help spread the word, get more people involved.
And there are all kinds of aspects to the trail work that are
A few different projects. I've been doing a lot of rock work, but also the log bridging work. Bridges over at Tanglewood. Last fall, we replaced all the wood on the suspension bridge with the duck trap. It was rotting out. Now we haven't built one like this. So this is a historic bridge that was from the CCC. It no longer exists. It was one of those Da Vinci bridges with no nails in it. Be pretty cool if we could recreate that and see if we could find out state engineers.
Do you know where that was, Eric?
Yeah, so that was on the ocean side of Route 1, what we call Sagamore, and it was all kind of part of Big Sagamore Farm. And there, if you go down toward the north parking lot, off to your left, there's a stream that flows down. You can still see a couple of concrete abutments, there's some cascades of flat rocks placed in the stream and so there.
So anyway, so there's some examples of what's already happening, what we envision, it's obviously part of Four Seasons paradise. We are fortunate to have in our backyard and we feel worthy of protecting, enhancing, and it's got a fascinating history and a promising future, and wanted to share with you the fact that we've established this group, and to close out, I guess I'd say we're not coming before you tonight to request any financial support. I'll turn it down to Crawford, but that's not why we're here. We're here just to ask you to join us as individuals to help us spread the word. Make sure you're aware of this effort, this initiative. We did brief the Camden Select Board a couple of 3 weeks back, and the entire board committed to join, so I was happy with that. We've been happier that 2 already have, so we'd love to get your support as well. And any ideas you have for how we can advance this effort and ways you can think of that we can help the town with what we're doing.
That was a place to point out sometimes more than half the park land is in Lincolnville, Tanglewood, which is on park land. Even if perhaps more than half the tourists in Camden right now. So it certainly plays a role in the lives of people here, and it's a lot of projects. So when you get involved with a casual volunteer or help actually organize something, or just be a member, that's what
We would not be adverse to changing our name to the Friends of the Lincolnville Hill State.
Just wanted to say you can become a member of the city website.
Yes. Yep. That's cool.
Any questions or comments for our guests?
Thanks for the presentation.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's
Thanks
great
for the
to see you.
opportunity.
It's great what's going on, and
Yeah.
I think coordinating all the efforts of all the groups or playing a little bit of that role
Yep.
would be key for
Yep.
your organization. So thank you.
Thank you.
Cool. Is the board okay with going back to the tabled item? Excellent. So we will go back to item number 6, the liquor license renewal for Camp Forest. And we now have a representative here. So, come on up. That's informal, but how are things going at Camp Forest?
Thanks for asking. Things have been really good. We had a phenomenal summer season, which has been helped by a lot of glorious weather. Things, in the winter months, of course, were slower last year. We anticipate the same going into this winter season, but we are keeping our hotel open all year round, and we'll also be keeping our food service open year round as well. We've just expanded the menu, adding burgers and fries a couple weeks ago, and we'll be adding some additional menu items as well in the coming weeks. And we just started offering a trial for takeout as well. So, and we've had a lot of uptake, which is nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. I know only one comment I'd make on all that is early on, it was like, geez, they don't seem like they're very busy. And then I realized when we came for breakfast one day there that all the parking's kind of behind things.
Yeah.
Driving
A lot
by,
of it's hidden.
empty, and yet it's very, very busy.
Yes, yeah, it is. We're lucky. We should get more people to park in the front, I guess. Any questions on the application or anything that would be helpful for me to share?
No. Okay, I would look for a motion.
I move that the board approve the liquor license requested by Camp DeForest LLC and that the town administrator be authorized to indicate such on the Bureau of Alcohol and Lottery Operations portal.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion? See none.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. I'm sorry I was late. I apologize. Last time I think it started, we were up at like 6:45, so I thought I would be.
Yeah. We tricked you.
Thank you so much.
You never know.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, and back to the regularly scheduled program. Item number 9, the Board of Assessors. We first need to convene as the Board of Assessors. Do I look for a motion?
I move that we suspend our meeting as a select board and we convene as the Board of Assessors.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none. Favor? Excellent. We are now Board of Assessors. And we have a few items. Wanna step on up?
You want me to start, David, or do you like?
Whatever pleases you, but if you don't know, go right up there, Matt, and I'll
Just up and
talk briefly because that's what I do best.
a few of us have already met you in the past, but a few of us haven't, so maybe introduce yourself to the rest of the board and.
So yeah, my name is Matt Caldwell. I'm the owner of Caldwell's Municipal Assessing and Consulting. We took over here as the assessing agent a couple months ago. This is another one of this is Hayden. He's come down to do some learning today. But yeah, we took over a few months ago and we're just kind of wrapping up last year's or this year's commitment, so to speak. Things were pretty organized when we took over. So we had a few things just to wrap up and put together. Most of the field work was done. So we weren't a part of the whole project, which I look forward to next year, being part of the whole circle of everything for a whole year. It really helps to add to these meetings to, all the different things that we saw, throughout the year. But things are shaping up pretty nicely. I think we have a couple of tax commitment notes here in regards to where we were going to go. So were we planning on reading this letter to you, or how?
No, I don't think so. I don't think that's necessary. I'll hit the highlights. Matt will do it next year. You don't have an awful lot of discretion here. The county tax is the county tax. We get in the, assessment. The school budgets are voted on by the people. And the municipal budget voted on by the people. And then you end up with, those are the 3 major components. And then the 4th is the overlay, which is discretionary to the board, can be anywhere from 0 to 5% of the tax commitment. I think we put that down in here, didn't we? It could be as high as $492,000 and some change. Really overlay is to help round the mill rate. And it does provide us with a little bit of cushion for the voters here, authorize you if you issue some abatements. But that's how that gets funded rather than us adding a line into the budget for abatements. You have a history of the last 6 years worth of what's been put into overlay. Last year, you may recall, or at least 3 you should recall, that we increased overlay because of the fact that we were going through the revaluation and we anticipated the likelihood of more abatements being requested and issued. This year, Matt and I had a little bit of a discussion over what to recommend, and in the end, we've recommending $87,722.09, which seems kind of odd to be the we're trying to get to a relatively even mill rate. So outside of that, I don't know what else you want to know. Just for anybody that's watching from home. This year, for every dollar you pay in property taxes, nearly 16 cents. So will go to Waldo County, 14 cents goes to your municipal operations, and the remaining 7 cents goes to education.
That's correct. Any other questions for Matt or David? If not, I would look for a motion.
I move that the Board of Assessors approve and sign the Assessor's Certification of Assessment, the 2026 Municipal Tax Assessment Warrant, the Certificate of Commitment, and the Certificate of Assessment to be returned to Municipal Treasurer as prepared by the Assessor's Agent establishing the tax rate for the fiscal year July 1st, 2026 to June 30th, 2027 at 10.14 mils, and that the due dates of October 7th, 2026 and April 7th, 2027, with interest at 7% per annum to be paid on any unpaid portion commencing on October 8th, 2026 and April 8th, 2027.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion? Seeing none. Okay. Thank you. And then we have two abatements. Seems like one of these has been before us before, but I guess to us about these two abatements.
Sure. So both of these abatements have been kind of lingering on since last year's commitment. This year, part of my due diligence on acting on abatements or recommendations, I should say, is actually going out and visiting the properties physically to give that taxpayer voice, to be able to listen to what their concerns are, have them show us their concerns. And that's just what I did with these two abatements here. When I went out and actually physically visited the sites with St. Clair and with Lamont.
Yep.
And walked the property, saw where, for Lamont, saw where the wetlands were and some issues there. Some of it may have been a little inflected with some lot splits and creating a different size and shape of a parcel, but still, that being said, there are still some implications there that prohibit buildability and those sort of things. The St. Clair parcel, we went down and visited, walked through the complete house, showed me everything from downstairs to upstairs, walked the lot, through the garages and the outbuildings and those sort of things. And there was definitely some consideration that needed to be given to those properties from where it was previously assessed at. So I think they're worthy of getting a slight adjustment, and that adjustment will carry forward as well for this year's assessment.
Any questions?
One other thing, just so you know, in the transition, because the board had previously denied the St. Clair abatement, Mr. St. Clair filed an appeal with the Board of Assessment Review. Then we made the transition from one assessor's agent to the other. Matt volunteered to go out and do a re-inspection or re-look. Mr. St. Clair has indicated that if the abatement that's being recommended is approved, he will withdraw his request to the Board of Assessment Review.
Okay. There's no other questions or comments? Motion.
The Board of Assessors grant an abatement number 2526-502 to Jason St. Clair, account number 1395, in the tax amount of $494.44 to correct the land and building values.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion? Being none, all in favor? Excellent. And we have one more.
I move that the Board of Assessors grant an abatement number 2526-51 to Walter and Ann Lamont, account number 2253, in the tax amount of $305.50 to correct the land value.
Second. Moved and seconded. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Thank you. Just, I guess, one last, thank you very much for, you come up to speed pretty quickly, it seems.
Yeah, well, it was helpful being familiar with the, the methodology and everything in place. And of course, I did work on the roadside review and those sort of things back with the revaluation. Not everywhere in town, but a third of it or so. So that definitely helped. And I appreciate the opportunity from you folks to allow us to come in here and try to give you some good work and try to keep things going forward.
Excellent, excellent. Any other questions or comments for?
Just to thank you for your,
Thank you.
your work. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like your approach so far, so thank you.
Great.
Excellent. So we have one last thing to do.
I move that we adjourn our meeting as Board of Assessors and reconvene as the Select Board.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion? Seeing none. We are now back as the select board. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Good seeing everybody.
Appreciate it.
Get some tax.
Oh, boy.
I'm gonna lose mine.
That note.
Next up, we just wanted to give the rest of the board an update regarding the request for proposals for the Harbor Resilience Assessment and Visioning Project. I guess I'll just go with it. We had 6 proposals come in. Matthew, myself, and David reviewed them independently, came together last week, and we started off by what was everybody's worst. We all put the same one forward. So essentially we agreed on the bottom 3 and top 3. We all 3 of us had basically the same top 3 and bottom 3. We originally had discussed possibly interviewing 2, but because we all had the same top 3 and the scores, the way we had scored them, they were my second and third were top.
Yeah.
His first and second are
Yeah,
top.
relatively
And
close.
so it's like let's just interview.
Yeah.
And so this week.
This
This
week,
week,
Thursday.
This week we're interviewing all 3. And by the time we meet again in September, we will have a recommendation.
That's good.
Right.
That's good.
Any other comments, David or Matt?
I think you pretty much spot on.
I'm glad you got 6 responses.
Yeah, it's great to get that many responses. All very. There was some definite differences, but I'm really looking forward to all 3 of them that we're meeting.
Cool.
Any one of those 3, I think, based on their proposals, would do a great job.
Yeah.
That's a nice problem to have.
Yes. After that, number 11, Recreation Commission supplemental charter. Start with that, David.
Sure. Couple meetings ago, you had citizen express concerns regarding safety of swimmers at Breedmere Park. Bandied about possibility of exploring having an organized swim area, which is a permitted, the state permitted swim area versus, I don't want to call what we have unorganized, but not organized, I guess. Swim area, and so put together a charge to the Recreation Commission, and charged with by the town charter of recommending recreational type activities to you folks. Pretty basic to explore what's required and come up with a preliminary design and look at pros and cons involved with it, because there are some cons potentially. And then report to the select board along with any costs, not only for initial setup, but for ongoing cost and maintenance activities associated with that. One of the challenges is we have a very slim recreation commission. Maybe once they have an assignment, you might be able to recruit some more or put your thinking caps on about some people. obviously, the more people that are involved in looking, hopefully the better finished product is on the end.
You know, myself from the meeting that David referenced, it was clear to me that I didn't know what an organized was or anything, and I personally thought it was it would be good for us to understand the pros and cons, as David just said, because I don't know what they are. It's not a decision to move forward with an organized swim area. It's we need to understand what our options are and should we pursue that path.
Yeah, so I watched the meeting, and I am not clear. I mean, there's a lot of strong language used around, horrifying activities and safety but I am unaware of any near misses that we've had in terms of safety issues with our swim area or our pool ramp, unless I am completely in the dark.
I don't think you are.
So I did a bunch of research on state designated swim areas, and I feel like in these conversations about, well, it's different, right? Our facilities versus the boat club's facilities, but all the conversations I've been privy to are surrounding the aesthetics and view of the boat club's infrastructure and how they run their program and whether there are kids swimming from their floats back into shore at the end of the day. So while yes, there have been one or two citizens who are very concerned about safety, I mean, like the long and the short of it is that it looks like when and if you get the permit from the state, it's a 5-year permit. It requires their required specialty buoys, markers, they're bright orange, they're highly visual. So that, in my mind, yes, does create basically a corral of a swimming area, but then you're also adding more visual distractions to the water, which is what I understand is one of the largest complaints of the folks that have been vocal. And, and then, there's the initial hours to set it up, which, in my research, it looks, anywhere from 50 to 100 hours for our staff to do the permitting, the research, that all of those things to procure, the buoys and all of that alone are, in the thousands to range, $1,000 to $2,000. And then there's annual maintenance requirements from the state. And then we need to designate a staff member as the person responsible. So an inland harbor master or a code enforcement officer. So that's adding duties to a staff member. So all of that, I kind of just wanted to get the temperature of the water in terms of the board even needing to, task a non-functional recreation commission first and or staff time to pursue this. So at its outset, not having had any issues in all of my time on the board, taking a very small swim area and making it at least feel even smaller. I don't see the juice being worth the squeeze personally. So I'll just throw that out there.
Sure.
Thank you for doing that, by the way. It is what it is.
Yeah.
We start doing this. Up until now, it seems like the boat club's equipment gets larger and larger, and they have a bigger footprint about every 2 years.
Mm,
And so in my opinion, and that is only my opinion, it's encroaching on being too big for the area that they have to work with down there anyway,
mm,
already.
mm,
Trying to cram way too much into a little space,
mm.
which is, and I understand the concerns of the neighbors down there, what it looks like, the floats are out in front of my place now, no, they're in front of mine, that type of thing. I think once we figure out whether it's gonna be the rec committee or whether it's gonna be us or whatever, I think we need to take a step back. Maybe reassess what's in there.
Well, I'm hearing, is it the swim area and the safety of our swimmers, or is it the way that the boat club functions? Because those are,
You're kind of mixing two things
yeah,
that are intertwined together.
yeah,
The effort here is strictly for the swim area.
But if we
And if we delineate the swim area, it may have impact on, it will have impact on.
that's why it keeps
Right.
coming,
I understand to the best of what research we've done as staff, the boat club installation complies with the rules and regulation. Now, just because you comply with the rules and regulations doesn't mean everybody's going to be happy, plain and simple, because I can guarantee you not everybody is. But a concern for the public safety was raised. And it's hard not to look when that's brought up, that the person has a front row seat to the view of what's going on, and has stated that she's seen things that have concerned her. I'm not sure line prohibits it or stops the minimizes. I mean, these are things we risk and we weigh every day, and everything we do is, why don't we have wider shoulders on the roads where, people are out walking? Why don't we have sidewalks? Why don't we have, it's another thing, but without some facts and some data and some information on cost, it's hard to make an informed choice and decision, so to speak. I mean, if it was free and it didn't impact anybody, would we do it? Maybe. If it cost $1 million and it impacts everybody, will we do it? Probably not.
Yeah.
And I think it would also be helpful for people to know there are, obviously there's inherent risk in swimming. And any recreational activity. The town is provided great coverage for recreational activities, protections in the law. Because if it wasn't, we probably wouldn't have a swim area at all. I mean, and it's not just swimming, there's other, hiking, other recreational activities, cross-country skiing, snowmobiling through the woods of Lincolnville on town property that we are offered numerous protections, because otherwise we'd have a fence around everything we own. That's just the way society is. But I think, without the basics of some of the things that lately is obviously researched, without that down clearly, and some of the costs and, and what would the configuration be, it's hard to make it real. To me, it's hard to make an informed choice. But I'm game with whatever you want to do.
I have one small concern I thought of after we were talking about the boat club and their extra distance they need in order to launch their boats and catch the wind and get out of there. Whatever the state requires us to do, there was some mention of lines, floating lines to mark off the swim area. That's not a safe thing to do for kids in life preservers. If kids are swimming back from the dock in life preservers and you have a floating line there, it becomes an entanglement issue. So that open end facing the sailing dock, whatever the design comes up with, this should be absent any kind of a floating entanglement for these kids. I'm assuming they're swimming back with their life jackets on. They don't leave their PFDs out there, so that's all I wanted to add.
And I think that's part of the pros and cons is somebody has to look at who are the users of our facility and how do they interact with each other? Because again, I don't want to mix the two together, but there's been conversations about, well, the boat club could just have their stuff, someplace else. Basically on the other side of the boat launching ramp, but then when the kids swim back, they're swimming across the boat launch, the launching ramp area, and that, these are the things that somebody or some group needs to understand the uses and talk to the people about their programs and say, well, how is this being used and what are the implications if we do this? Because it's not all necessarily, what's good for this group may not be good for that group or for that individual. So you have to get that information so you understand, and then you have to weigh the pros and the cons to the decision.
So myself, after the meeting where we discussed this, I've stopped down there 4 times when I've seen somebody unloading or doing stuff. It's like, go down, art, watch. And just as the person mentioned at the meeting, 4 different boats, 2 after they launch, motor right straight through the swimming area, fishing away. And one of those 2 times there was a person swimming, kid swimming in the area.
That's no good.
So it wasn't a near miss, no one almost got run over or anything that way, but it's clearly not people not being smart, and we can't manage people being smart or not. But there's definitely some behaviors. I'm not sure this is the exact right next step, but yeah.
Maybe couldn't we adjust our personal policy on how we manage our swim area? If it's consistently a problem that has yet to result in bodily harm, which is great. But if it's consistently a problem that boats are kind of drifting off through or actively motoring through the swim area, that we coordinate. We just invest in the infrastructure for at least along that side to stop vessels from making that turn into the swim area without entering into, basically state legislated terms and conditions. Because there's a bunch of other things that I didn't bring up too, that, could potentially trigger all sorts of things and getting the permitting and so, I just wonder if rather than taking staff time, which we know we don't have extra of, or a rec commission that we don't have right now, just reassessing how we cordon off that access point for boats.
And do we need to look at this as the more holistically, not just this, which is focused on swim area, but we need to think about it holistically, including the activities of the boat? We don't manage them. They're an independent organization, but they're using that space there. We talked about, or it's a topic of they store their floats in our space there. It's all that area. It's something we need to.
So, yeah, it's like, why not just address that issue? Like, if that's the issue, why go through this whole thing?
Well, I think once again, I think you have two issues.
Yes,
Right.
we
They
did.
were both brought up semi-close to simultaneously, but one person's sole focus of a concern was for boaters going through the swim area.
Which they are doing.
Other concern were private entities floats out in the water, which may be driving people through the boat, through the swim area, which I don't think it is, but
So relative to this conversation, you know, I just on its surface, I don't see the value. But if it is, like, what is the problem that we're trying to solve? The problem that we're trying to solve is boaters coming off the ramp and going through the swim area, that we block that point of access.
with,
Floating line and buoys along that side.
not without a permit.
We can't put it in at all.
That's my understanding,
Okay,
but I haven't done a
okay,
lot of research. I think
Okay.
that's why we were kind of trying to
Right.
find somebody to
Gotcha.
do some research.
I got you. Yeah. yeah. Okay,
Find the options.
okay.
Thoughts on? Folks would like to proceed?
We don't have a rec committee to. hand
Yeah,
this to.
that's the problem. No.
So if we want to come up with something which to what you just said, this is something we need to address or at least check into. Whether or not to staff do it. I mean, I'd love to say that I could do it, but I just don't have time. You know?
Do we table this for this time and focus on recreation commission, get that up to speed?
Well, we've got what, one member? What's the chances?
No, you have three.
You have three.
Oh, we do?
Mhm.
So we need what, one more?
Well, you have three could function if they'd all show up to the meeting at the same time. Not a very efficient or effective.
And I know Josh is given community interest forms to several other people. If they haven't turned in yet. They will.
Is the boat club done for the year now? Or how much more are they gonna be operating? With school coming back in and.
I think their program might have ended last week, but I'm not 100% sure of that.
And then. We're not gonna have swimmers for another month, maybe before it's too cold to swim, and maybe we have time to get. The rec commission going, then have time to look into it over the winter or.
Even if we did this now, this isn't.
Yeah.
Anything this year.
Yeah, right,
And
yeah.
Plenty of time
Yeah,
if we don't let this totally fall off. the
Yeah.
radar.
Hit the spring with a plan.
It seems like if it's about a 6 month.
Yeah.
Things go.
So I'm hearing. Let's table this for now. We may rejigger it. Based on. Future discussion and some time to focus on getting the recreation commission up to. Have a consensus.
yeah,
Been great discussions. This is good. There is some issues we need to address, but I don't think this is the right step at this time. Okay. Moving forward, then. We need to set an election warrant. Anything you want to say, David?
This is weird. Sorry.
Well, for a state election, each town is supposed to have an election warden. That's unless your charter says differently, that's appointed by the town clerk. Subject to confirmation by the municipal officers, and the town clerk has nominated himself to be the election warden. And if you choose not to confirm me, we'll find somebody else and nominate them, and I'll take the day off with pleasure.
Okay, I think we've heard enough. Does anybody want to make?
The town clerk's appointment of David Kinney as the election warden for the November 3rd, 2026 election.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? No. All in favor? Okay. That's that one. We have our annual winter road closing public hearing that we have to schedule. You want to say there, David?
Just that the decision for winter road closing is the voters at town meeting delegated the select board to that authority after holding a public hearing. Traditionally, we close a portion of the Martin Corner Road, basically the top of the hill through to Moody Mountain Road, and nobody in the right mind would go through there in a car in the summer, let alone in the winter. But I've done that. And so in order to do that, we're suggesting you have a hearing, and I'm sure our plow contractor is not going to plow. Can't speak for him, but
I drove through there just recently.
but it's okay right now. It's pretty dry.
How does it work regarding the road closed sign stay up? year-round? And I've had some people ask me about that,
Yeah.
whatever. And
We just don't.
the house on the far end, when I drove through, she's like, you know, that road's closed. And I was like, no, it's not.
We try to save a little bit of money by not putting out and taking down the signs on an annual basis.
Yeah.
If that's a priority for you, we make sure they get that.
I think anybody that really cares to kind of be there knows that it's
a little rough.
maybe for your thunder.
I kind of guess.
Starting.
So I would look for a motion on this hearing we need to schedule.
I move the board approve, I move that the board conduct a public hearing regarding winter road closings at 6:30 PM on September 14th, 2026.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor. Excellent. We are on to select person updates.
Nothing.
We did finally have our end of year meeting for Midland Solid Waste and elected new officers for the corporation. Had a really good meeting. I have been reelected chair of the Midland Solid Waste Board.
Congratulations.
What's that?
Congratulations.
It was a unanimous thing, which kind of shocked me, but yeah, we had a good meeting. Things are good. We got some money we need to spend. So that's the thing you need to do. More to follow.
Okay.
So we're good.
Sandy?
Yeah. No.
And I have nothing tonight. Moving on to treasurers and payroll warrants. I'd like to make this one with that. Just.
Yeah.
The Eastern Salt Company.
Yeah, what line is that again? 01617.
Yeah.
And are we wanting more information?
76, and yeah, we should get more information on the Home Depot line.
Yeah.
I can't see what number it is, but
51, I think. No, I'm sorry.
The holes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Cover.
Where are you?
The
Bottom of that
bottom of the
same
second page, it says Home Depot. For those,
Milwaukee batteries.
those four Milwaukee batteries. I'm thinking there's more. Uh,
It'd be hard pressed for four of those batteries to be $1,099.
The description line is often shorter than the
Mhm.
That's what we think.
the bill line.
I know, but put the big ticket item in there.
Hopefully I can find it quickly. That doesn't tell me a whole lot, but I'll pass that down. If you want to pull that one off for more information, we certainly can do that as well. Doesn't say a whole lot.
What's there? Shouldn't be $1,000.
No.
You can look it up.
Is that the
cost?
Chiefs card?
Yeah, something delivery, one item. There's no way for the battery to do that much, I think.
We go for a few hundred.
Yeah, so we'll keep off that. So the motion needs to exclude or mention the $40.76 for Eastman Salt for the coupling to come out of this, and for more information on the Home Depot line. for the Milwaukee.
Yeah.
We'll look later to see what they say on the internet. Yeah.
I move that the board approve and sign treasurers and payroll warrants. With the removal of line item 01617 Eastern Salt Company Incorporated for $40.76. And the removal of the Home Depot charge. I cannot give you the line item number, but the amount would be $1,099. For more information.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion? Seeing that. Excellent. And if there's nothing else, I'd look for one final motion.
Move that we adjourn.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all of it. Excellent.
We'll go home for you to sign a bunch of others.
Oh, yeah. That's that, David. That's what you did.
Hesitating as you're rolling through those things and.
That's that, yeah.
Finding